Walk us through what you heard from Psaki in terms of how they're approaching trying to get this COVID relief deal done.
Yeah, and one of the things we hear all the time, one of the phrases we hear all the time in official Washington is this notion that elections have consequences. Democrats, as you well know, control all the levers of power here in Washington. And so even though this White House is focused on unity and bipartisanship, I sort of pushed back on that and I said, why isn't President Biden stylistically as, tactically ruthless as we've seen Republicans be over the last 4 years? And what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said in so many words is basically that's not who Joe Biden is. As you well know, he spent most of his adult life in the Senate. He ran as someone who has the capacity to make this divided and polarized city function. And so that's what we'll see part of today at 5 o'clock when he hosts these 10 Republican senators. So that's sort of the style. On the substance, though, these Republican senators are offering, their counteroffer is more than a third less of what President Biden has proposed. And one of the things we heard in this briefing was that his proposal is commensurate, they say, with the crises, with the scale and severity of the need. You heard Jen Psaki say that 1 in 7 American families don't have enough food to put on the table. There are some, 11 to 12 million people who are out of work. We know the sort of intractable toll that the pandemic has taken on, across wide swaths of this country. And so that $1.9 trillion, that dollar amount doesn't exist in a vacuum. It was because they looked at the need, came up with a solution, and then priced it all out. And so for Senate Republicans to have their opening offer be $600 billion when the president has proposed a $1.9 trillion, there's a big gap in there. There's a big gap in terms of vision, in terms of policy. So the question is, how quickly can they bridge that gap? Well, Democrats are giving President Biden an insurance policy because they're starting this budget process known as reconciliation, where if they need to, and it's a complicated, very complex process, but they could potentially pass it with 51 votes, with just Democratic votes alone, and not even really bother with these 10 Republican senators or more Republican senators in the upper chamber who may even be inclined to do a deal with Democrats, Casey.